morning. Little cat, please. You cannot go up there. Ooh, it didn't even sound good. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? How y'all doing? How y'all doing today? I'm going to tell you guys a story in a couple. Can you two not? I'm going to tell you guys a story about what happened to me. If you didn't see the TikTok that I already made this morning because I was just so mad about it. Smile and show some love. Listen, this is how my Friday started. Let me set the scene for you because I made a TikTok about it. If you haven't seen it, I'll tell you about it. Okay, so let's set the scene. It was 7:53 a.m., okay? Now, the Dunkin' Donuts that I go to in the morning, I do the mobile order so that I can pull in and I can pull out because people are wild and there's always a line wrapped around the building. So I watched this lady this morning, right? As I pulled in, she pulled in and stopped at the stop sign like it was a parking spot, stopped there, let her kid out, sent her kid into the Dunkin' Donuts, and then proceeded to sit there and block traffic. So I went around her, got in line, got up to the window, got my coffee, and as I was pulling out, I had a stop sign. They have a stop sign. It was my turn. I turned, right? And I'm going to pull out of the parking lot. There's a little horseshoe thing, right? And I'm pulling out, and this bitch throws her car in reverse out of the parking spot like she is the only person in the entire parking lot. She is not looking in any direction that she's going in, right? She was just one of those people. I'm in reverse. Here I come. Well, when you're in a crowded parking lot like that, that's not how shit works. And let me tell you how this bitch came about. I don't know, a foot from hitting my car. And I'm very protective of my car because I don't have a lot of nice shit. And it's not in my name. So if she hit me, my dad would fucking kill me at fucking 35 years old. But that's besides the point. So I beeped the horn. I beeped at her, right? I beeped. And I was like, hey bitch, hey you bitch, beep, beep. That's what the horn's for. Beep. You're gonna hit me. Beep. And I continued on my way because I had the right of way. So I got to the traffic light going out of the parking lot, and she was in my rear view mirror. Well, I got into the left turn lane to make a left turn out of the parking lot, and as this bitch pulled by me to go straight and get caught at the light, but there was a car in front of me, as she went by me, she flipped me off. Bitch. So you were in the wrong and you flipped me off. Oh, girl. What she underestimated was the fact that she came across the most hood bitch that lives in this beachfront community. And I was not here for her shit. I rolled my window down and I was like, yo, you got something to say, cunt? Can I tell you how Marjorie Taylor Greene's face looked back at me like, yeah, exactly. And as I pulled away, I flipped her off too. I just love it how these fucking entitled white bitches seem to think that they own the parking lot. And when they do something wrong, they're just going to skate away. They're going to flip you off and they're going to get about their day. Bitch, no, you underestimated it. And surprise, shorty, you got the wrong bitch on the other side of the situation. What you got to say? Now your 9-year-old that you sent into Dunkin' Donuts by herself, that you had sitting in the front seat of your car, has a colorful new word. Cunt. Mommy, what's a cunt? You're welcome. Next time, make sure you know the bitch you're about to try in the parking lot, because I am not here for it, especially when you were in the wrong from the get-go, lady. I hope I see her again, because now I know that maroon red Jeep Grand Cherokee with the Trump sticker on the back of it is you, bitch. This is a small town. And I know what direction you went in. You were probably, and that's how my day started. Like, I literally was minding my own goddamn business, not even really awake yet. I dropped Addie off at school. That's my routine. I drop her off at the school, and then there's a cut-through road that goes straight to my Dunkin' Donuts, and that's what I do. I mobile order when I get to the parking lot, so that when I pull up at the little speaker thing, I'm like, hey, yo, you got a mobile order for Danielle? And they're like, yes, Danielle, come on right around. Yeah. So that was how my day started. So, surprise, shorty! Now your kid knows some new words you probably didn't teach her, but now you're gonna have to explain. I wish I could take a nap I'm not a napper. I can't, unless I'm sick. If I'm sick, I can nap. Hold on a second. I missed some comments here. Oh, my kids know all these words too. Absolutely. Hold on, wait, what? I'm gonna have to do some investigating. I didn't hear about that. I did receive an email from local protest groups that they're going to CPAC this weekend. And so there's going to be protests at CPAC in Orlando, and people are like, are you going? Do I have an Alabama tag? I do. I think. Hold on. Yes, I'm pretty sure I have a bunch that I haven't put up yet. Ooh, Supreme. See, why are you people that have like sub fucking superior genetics think that Trump somehow is like a thing that's gonna keep happening? Trump lost, and supreme being, pff, if you think that Trump was anything special, you're not supreme at jack shit. I do have an Alabama plate. This is the Alabama plate that I have, so if you have one that's different from this, I would love it. I don't have New Mexico yet. But I have to put all of these up. These are the ones that I haven't been able to put on my wall yet, because I just haven't wanted to break out my impact gun thing that I use to get them into the wall. So anyways, so that was the beginning of my day. And if you have a license plate from other parts of the country, I don't have a Rhode Island one yet. Did you say that you say this lady lives a sad life? Are you talking about me? Do you say that I live a sad life? Because I don't. My life is very full. You just seem to be in the wrong place if you think that you can come in here with the name Supreme Being. Now, let's pick this apart here, since you seem to have such a problem with it. When you say Supreme Being, most of the time, you are not supreme by any means. I'm not triggered by Trump. I just said he was in the wrong place. I was triggered by the fact that he was calling himself Supreme Being. But apparently, Big Mama, you seem to think that you are somehow Supreme Being here, talking shit to a stranger. You have no idea who the fuck I am. So, Bertha, I'm going to need you to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up, and don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out of my live. How about that? Bigly triggered by Trump. No, not triggered by Trump by any means, actually. I'm actually kind of sad for the people like you that actually think Trump 2020 is still a thing when Joe Biden's been president for 5 weeks. The election was over in November, and alas, here we are going into March. Monday's March, just to let you know. Again, so before you mosey into a live on TikTok, you better know the bitch that you're fucking around with. Did you not get the opening story? Did you not hear how I began shit? Do you not know where the fuck you are? Come on. I wish a bitch would. I will fucking school you here. I will school the bitch in the Dunkin' parking lot, and I will let you all know exactly what I have to say. I'm so over people. I'm gonna come in here and talk shit because I have nothing better to do with my fucking life. Because I'm a sad loser. Can you imagine how, like, pathetic your life has to be like an internet troll? To have nothing better to do with your time but I have moderators. I just don't know where they are. Usually they're here. I got a couple of them. But I like to play with them when they come into my lives sometimes. Hey girl, hey. What up, what up, what up? Big Mama Bernice is... Oh, so abortion is wrong. 134 just joined. Maybe your mom should have had an abortion since you have such a strong stance on that one. Do I think that they'll pass the $15 minimum wage? Yes. I just don't think it'll be passed in the COVID relief bill. But we will have the COVID relief bill probably passed next week sometime. I would say early in the week next week. I'm glad that my lives in the morning are entertainment for you. Hey, listen, if you like my lives and you appreciate my commentary roast, if many of you know, I got kicked out of the TikTok Creators Fund. So if you guys like what I do and would like to support me, you can hit me Cash App, Venmo, all of those things, PayPal. I have a donation link in my bio, my link tree. I'm money symbol chasing Oz on all of the platforms. And yes, my real name is Danielle. Thank you for those that say that you enjoy my drone videos. I have a lot of fun. That has become like my zen during all of this quarantine. Why did I get banned? Because my account repeatedly gets maliciously reported, even though all of my videos end up getting put back up, because my account's been reported so many times. So yeah, it's just, what TikTok's basically doing is they're trying to silence the political creators, the people who support Black Lives Matter, the people that, they just essentially don't want to pay. I mean, my videos, it's not like I was making a super ton of money off of them, but I was making something which helps. But yeah. So if you get reported so many times, you can get kicked out of the Creators Fund, and that's exactly what happened. I have literally emailed them a dozen times. People have tagged TikTok. I don't know. So at this point in time, I am just here just to be here. I'm just here. I wish you'd start a podcast. I wish I would too. My laptop is basically dead at this point, so I'm just... hoping for a stimulus so I can replace it. I don't know. I want to do the podcast. I promise you that. I don't have the resource and technology at this point in time. I really want to hear your thoughts on Marjorie Taylor Greene's daily view from her office. I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a garbage human being. And, excuse me, ma'am. No, thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. So when I do get a new laptop, I have one on my Amazon wish list on my Amazon wish list in my bio. But yes, when I get a new laptop that I can actually save and edit and create a podcast from, I'll be able to do that. Wait, what just happened? I have no idea what just happened. Did I miss something? How am I feeling today? I don't know. I think I'm getting a cold. I'm a little stuffy. I don't know if I really hope it's not COVID. I don't really do anything. I'm hoping it's just my allergies kicking my ass because there's a thick sheen of yellow pollen on everything. Oh, the lady I was talking to, it's just a cat. Oh, I did. When I say excuse me, ma'am, it's the animals. I'm not talking. There's nobody here. It's just me. Yeah, no, it's just if I'm talking to like somebody randomly, it is one of the pets that's out here with me. And if I hide like this, it's my neighbor Barb walking her dogs. No. So I don't know if you guys heard this story earlier in the week, but my daughter ended up accidentally leaving my little cat. Well, she's not little anymore. She's a year old now, but little cat, Hoops forever. But earlier in the week, my daughter accidentally left little cat outdoors all night long. And when I woke up, I think it was Sunday morning, little cat was on the back porch with 2 or 3 other neighborhood cats that had busted through the screen door on my porch, like went straight through the screen into the porch. So not only did she get beat up, but I'm hoping I don't have like 6 cats in another 6 weeks. And I know that's, I feel horrible. She's fine now. But my screen door is now broken. So I have a cardboard box in place blocking it. And she was over there sniffing around. So that was the no ma'am. No ma'am. Don't go near that box. I usually let her and the other cat and the dog out here on the porch. I have to spay her, and it was the plan. She's an indoor cat. All the animals are fixed, but because of COVID, they haven't had any of the low-cost clinics, and I've been waiting for them, and I didn't think this would be a fucking problem. But again, alas, the 9-year-old, come here. She doesn't like being, oh my God, please. As you can see, she is so very affectionate. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like people in general. She'll come to you on her own terms. But if you try and initiate, ma'am, I said no. Oh, the big cat just tried to beat up the dog. Are you here? She wasn't in heat. But now she's been rubbing all over everything. So the whole thing's a mess. My poor baby. She's such a cute cat though. She was like, I heard you talking all that shit about how you're hard. So I'm going to make everybody know that you are not. And I'm going to beat your ass on your live. That's exactly what she just did to me. She was like, no ma'am. I'm not here to be your cute prop. I'm here to show everybody that I'm the bitch. I'm the queen bitch of this place. That's what just happened right there. Aren't animals fun? I love my animals. Some days I love them more than my kids. They're just so much easier to deal with. Especially Maggie. Maggie's like the G. Right now she's squirrel hunting. What do I think about Trump addressing people at CPAC? Excuse me. You, come here. Excuse me. Ma'am. Come here. Inside you go. I think that we just need to continue to deal with Trump how we all have really been dealing with Trump for the past couple weeks and ignore him. How old are my kids? I have a 9-year-old who will be 10 in April. I have an 11-year-old who will be 12 in May. And I have a 13-year-old that will be 14 in December. Oh no, that was just a chocolate lab. He was out for his morning walk. That's That dog's name just so happens to be Maggie as well. No, I didn't, but I'm not surprised. I'm not sure what more this woman has to do to be expelled from Congress, but, you know, if this was just me or you, or just fucking a regular ass person at work, sorry, I just keep getting hiccups, and okay, I think I'm good now. I think we just need, if this was me or you working in a corporate setting and this was the shit that we were doing at work, we'd be unemployed. And I don't believe as though Marjorie Taylor Greene should have a job because of her behavior. I think that we need to set an example, because behavior like hers is not acceptable in any branch of our government, let alone from a member of the House of Representatives. It is disgusting, it is unbecoming, and it makes America look like shit. It's fucking embarrassing. Marjorie Taylor Greene is embarrassing. That's all. And if we don't start to hold our elected officials to a certain level of accountability, our government is only going to get worse. If we continue to have the fucking Marjorie Taylor Greenes in our governing bodies, America is in for a world of trouble. You put her and that Lauren Boebert bitch together, who literally only graduated high school or got her GED a couple months ago. I mean, don't we have better standards to the people that we send to represent us? Because if that's the case, both of those bitches should be gone. Which one of my kids is my favorite? I don't have a favorite kid. I love them all equally. You can't have a favorite kid when you have kids. What about Mitch McConnell saying he'll fucking support Trump if he runs again? Shocker. Y'all need to stop pretending like Republicans have changed because Donald Trump isn't in office anymore. These are the same people that obstructed Obama and made your life hell for the past 12 years. Do we really think that magically overnight they're going to grow a conscience or a spine? That's the definition of insanity. Stop doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. These people have already showed who they are. They are not going to change. What do I think about Ted Cruz? I think that Ted Cruz should resign. I don't think Ted Cruz belongs in Congress either. Do I think Trump will end up in jail over his tax returns? Absolutely. I think that the end of the story of Donald Trump will be either in prison or fighting this legal battle until he dies, if we're being honest. I 100% think that that's exactly how that story is going to come to an end. Those tax returns he is very worried. Why do you think that he hasn't been on Fox News every day, or Newsmax, or OAN? All these platforms that would love for him to come on and talk about God knows what, but he's been quiet in his little hole at Mar-a-Lago. How does one best punish a narcissist? Ignore them. They will go away eventually. Maggie is sitting inside crying at me from the other side of the door now. Come on. No bark barks. No bark barks. Coming up. Come on. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Maggie says hello. Oh, just knocked the table. Say hellos. Good morning, everybody. Oh, let's flip that tag around so nobody knows where I live. You being good girls? Huh? Thoughts on the airstrike in Syria. So I'm torn. Because I feel like everything that in the Middle East, like contractors and American military people have been killed and hurt and injured in Iraq and on the Syrian border a number of times over the past 4 years. Unfortunately, Donald Trump seemed to be doing the bidding of Russia for the past 4 years. So nobody held them accountable for their actions, essentially. So now you have a insurgent group that has repeatedly attacked our U.S. military base there. It's a very double-edged sword, because if we go back to the Bush administration, in my opinion, we never belonged in Iraq or Afghanistan. But now we're there, and we've been there for quite some time. Again, it's the ugly side of politics, but again, here we are in a position where America is supposed to be a global world power, and there has to be accountability for things that take place. Do I like it? No. Do I think it was the right thing to do in retaliation? Probably. Am I a military member, professional, or commentator? No. This is nothing more than me having an opinion. Alas, the world is a different place because we've been there so long, and I don't think that there's a right or wrong. I just think that as long as I can remember, here in America, we don't negotiate with terrorists. So I think that this was a indication that America is a superpower and America's back, and don't fuck with us, because Donald Trump let the Middle East walk all over American troops for the past couple of years. So I mean, we're creating terrorists right here on our own soil with all these kids that were taken from their families after they walked here to America. This says make racism wrong again. You need to understand that what has happened at our southern border the past 4 years is going to create a generation of children that have been traumatized by America and are in America now. And that is how people get radicalized. Just like the people in Iraq and Afghanistan and the Middle East have been radicalized against America because we've been there their entire lifetimes, bombing them and making their lives shit. Take a bunch of kids from their parents, which is psychological trauma, and then you put them in these cages, and what are they going to want? They're going to be radicalized against the people who did this to them. It is no different. We are breeding terrorists against America in the Middle East, as well as on our own soil here, because they came to America asking, I'm not anti-Islam by any means. I'm just saying, I'm not even talking about, when I say terrorists, I'm talking about terrorists, not Muslims or a certain demographic of people. I'm talking about people who are being radicalized by America's actions around the globe, not in one specific place. What I'm saying is the children that have been held in these concentration camps at our border, the Mexican children, the South American children, the Ecuadorian children, the people who walked here for asylum because it was too dangerous for them to actually live in their homes. I'm talking about people from Southern America. So let South America. So stop trying to make this like this has anything to do with Islam. People walked to this country and they are being completely traumatized after they asked for help. Asylum is America's way of helping people. Asylum is legal. And what the Trump administration did for those 4 years with our asylum laws was disgusting. And what that did was radicalize a generation of children that are on our soil that came here for help that we should have helped. And instead, you stole their parents, you lost their parents, you adopted them out to these white families that don't know anything about them when their parents were there and completely fine and able to take care of them. They just came here and asked for help and safety and an opportunity, which is nothing more than the American dream. You can't blame these children for being radicalized because our own actions have caused this. We already went over the airstrikes and I already have somebody calling me anti-Islamic, so I'm not even talking about that shit no more. Not even going there. Excuse me, ma'am. That's the old cat. They have also, I'm trying to read through the comments. They've also located 150 parents that, or 150 families of children that they've had in custody. 6 weeks in office, they've been able to find and locate the families of 150 children that they had in custody. That's almost that's almost 1/5 of all the children that they still have here in the United States that they don't know where their families are. The Biden administration located them in 6 weeks. 150 children will be able to go home to their families because the Biden administration came in and was like, okay, we know what to do here. And that just goes to show that the Trump administration was purposely keeping these children. Because if they could find these families in 6 weeks, and the Trump administration couldn't find those children's families in 4 years, there was a reason for that. And it was called on fucking purpose. Let that one simmer. Let that one simmer. They have located the families of 150 children out of the 666 children that are unaccompanied here in America because their parents were taken and deported or located to different places. 6 weeks. 6 weeks is what they took. They were not trying to look for those families. They didn't give a shit about those kids. You want to know why they didn't give a shit about those kids? Because every one of those kids that they had living in one of those camps was a $700 a day check to a private prison system that somebody along the lines had their pockets padded within our government. Those kids were nothing more than a cash cow to that administration. Which is why private prison systems need to be abolished. The more you know. Remember Melania's jacket. I don't care, do you? That's all it was. Facts matter. Facts matter. I know exactly what I'm talking about in politics. Just because you don't seem to agree that it's okay. I'll take Joe Biden being a kid sniffer considering Donald Trump has sex with children. I sniff babies. It's a hobby of mine. German Shepherd is a bag of dicks that I've already blocked from being in here, so I wouldn't give him any more clout. Yes, Donald Trump made $1.6 billion during his 4 years in office. How many previous presidents were billionaires during their time? Don't worry, I'll wait. By the way, I made the greatest video last night. TikTok took it down. They said it was illegal activity. Starbucks or Dunkin'? Dunkin'. Always Dunkin'. Hands down Dunkin'. I am a New England girl through and through. You've never had Dunkin' Donuts? The donuts are okay. I mean, they're nothing to write home about. I'd rather have Duck Donuts. What was the video? It was a smoke weed sound, and I was smoking an actual joint in it. No, I didn't put it on Instagram. I'm very sad though. It was literally like 8 seconds of me smoking a joint and listening to a funny sound. It's not illegal, which is exactly what I replied in my appeal. What is Duck Donuts? So does America runs on Dunkin'? Yes, I run on Dunkin'. I can tell you that. So Duck Donuts is a chain. I'm not sure how many there are, but I know I have one. There's one here in Daytona, and there's some up in the Savannah area. So I'm assuming that they have to be like a handful of places. But they're kind of like Krispy Kreme donuts, but Duck Donuts has a full topping bar. So you can get literally anything put on your donut. They are all made to order. They have like a list of like, you know, the donuts this day. They have, you know, Oreo or this, that, and the other thing. But yeah, we also have a mom and pop donut shop in my local area that has a couple locations, and they're called Donnie's Donuts. They're in Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, and New Smyrna Beach, Florida. And they make old-fashioned cake donuts that they decorate. You can get anything put on them too. So if you are in Central Florida and you like donuts, I highly suggest you check out Donnie's. But yeah, Duck Donuts is a chain. Yes, Krispy Kreme are made fresh, but I won't eat Krispy Kreme here locally because the kid's dad, he works in the commercial refrigeration and HVAC field. And I would like you to know that there are some places I will just not eat at all anymore because of the things that he has seen in their kitchens. Just throwing that one out there. You guys, did you enjoy Falling Forward? That's probably my favorite book that I've written. Like, I really, 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 really love that book. I used the writing of that book to, first off, it's the longest book that I've written. And second off, I used that book to deal with a lot of unresolved trauma that I had. That book was therapy for me to write. 5 chapters into Falling Forward. Have you cried yet? Did either of you cry? Did you need any tissues? Because that was like the first couple chapters of the book. People, wait, hold on. I guess I'm missing questions because Marjorie Taylor Greene, we talked about her a little bit earlier. She's cunt, and that's all I have to say about her. the Equality Act passed with or without her. She can keep playing her game. She's going to get her ass expelled from Congress. It's there's that book. You know what I was thinking? Now, I don't know. Let me know if you guys would be interested in this. But I was thinking about doing a book club where I'll do a live every couple days and read from one of my books, do a little reading, and maybe read a chapter here and there with you guys. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? I don't know if that would even be like on anybody's radar, but I figured that might be something fun to kind of switch things up a little bit if you guys would be interested. And I will only read books that I have finished, and, you know, I'm not going to read anything that's... Well, apparently we're doing a book club because there's a lot of yeses. How do I think that the Senate's going to go in 2021? I think that Democrats are going to continue to pick up seats. You guys, and I'm not saying that you guys have to like read on your own. All I'm saying is that I will go live and read chapter by chapter, just not like at the same time. Yes to the book club. Everybody's in. Well, I guess then we're going to have to pick a book to start with, right? That's going to be a fun one to figure out. Oh, my vape pen. I bet you could find one in Texas. It just might not be legal. I think I will start with Falling Forward. That's a good one. That's my favorite. It's literally my favorite book. It makes me miss writing. I don't write as much as I should anymore. I miss the book world when it wasn't filled with a bunch of crazy people. I used to be peak crazy in the book world, but a bunch of other bitches had to come along and be like, we're gonna out crazy you. It's under Dawn Robertson. Erotica. My whole books aren't erotica, though. I promise you that they are actual. How many hours a day was I writing? It was really hard because it was very sporadic. So I never really clocked how many hours in a specific day, but I would write anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours a day. It'll probably be in the evening. I probably won't do it. I will make a video. I should write a supernatural book series. I've always wanted to write like a True Blood Sookie Stackhouse kind of series. How long have I been on? I don't know. What time is it? I don't know. I came live like 8:45, 9 o'clock-ish. I have no idea what time it is. I mean, my only resource to the outside world is being used right this moment, so I don't know what time it is. It's 9:30. It's only 9:30. Well, I must have gone live at like 8:45. Say, because I've been here longer than a half hour. $7:30. That's early. Oh, our birds never go away. This is Florida. They are constantly out there making noise, doing their thing. Don't mind me. Oh shit, things are gonna fall. So I think this is what I'll start with. I don't know why anybody gets up early to watch me. If I lived on another coast, I would be like, fuck that bitch. She's not interesting enough to get up early for. Straight writing, or I edit along the way. So I write chapter by chapter. I am a write in chronological order person. I cannot write something I can write notes down for something that I write further into the book, but I will literally, the way that I write is I will write a chapter, or I will let whatever's in my brain purge out of my head. And when I'm finished for the day, or whatever's in my brain has escaped and I am done with my writing, I will stop and I will go back to the beginning and I will read through it and make any grammatical revisions, or if something doesn't make sense, or I have a missed detail, or I put in a characteristic about a character that is inaccurate, I will go back and fix all of them at that point in time. And I do that chapter by chapter as I write, and then I send it off to an editor at the end. So the process is long, but it's, I don't know, people always, when I think, do I think chronologically? Yes. I always, I think when I start writing, everything comes out from beginning to end. That's the only way I've ever been able to write. And I understand a lot of people write in very, different, different things and different avenues and different styles. But that's just how I've done things. I start with an idea and I'll start writing. And sometimes the idea will change from what I originally thought till the finished product. I'll start writing and I'll think, I do have beta readers who catch a lot of my when I'm writing. But I will start with an idea and I will start writing in chapter sequence, and then I'll get into my groove, and sometimes my original thought for the book will morph as the story tells itself out of my brain. What do I think about self-publishing? All of my books are self-published. I would never work with a publishing house again. I worked with one. I got fucked. They owe me money. I will never do it again. I can do everything myself. All of my books have been indie published, meaning independently published. I do it all myself. I know, that's a really old picture of me on my, what are beta readers? So beta readers, essentially, as you write a book, are people who read the book as you're writing it. And they give you feedback. Something doesn't make sense. Did you fuck something up about a character? It is their job to pick the book apart as you write it. So you can't have thin skin if you write, because people are going to come back to you and be like, I don't know what you were thinking, but that was horrible. Not necessarily proofreaders, because proofreaders are a whole separate bunch at the end of the book. But these are I usually have 3 or 4 beta readers that as I write, they will literally read chapter by chapter and give me feedback. Well, maybe this character is going in a direction that, meh. Do I write about horror books because I have a story? I do not write, well, I wouldn't say horror. I have written a book about a for contract killer, a mercenary, but not necessarily horror. Do I know my beta readers personally? Yes. It is a very tight-knit group of women that I have put together over my years in the field. Actually, how do I select beta readers? The beta readers that I used, one was my personal assistant when I was popular enough to need one of those. And the beta readers, actually, my original group came from word of mouth through the indie romance community. And that's how I worked with them. But as I got more popular, as I put more books out, I had a group on Facebook that was fans of Dawn Robertson. I called the group was called Dawn's Doms. And I would pick people that were like hardcore Dawn Robertson fan readers, and I would pick like 2 or 3 of them because I knew what they were looking for, and I already knew that they were like well versed in everything that I had written before. So it became easier as time went on. But most of them were people who helped me, whether they were assistants or just part of my street team or my group or things like that. So that was fun. But yeah, that's, if anybody else has any more questions about writing or publishing, I'm here, apparently answering questions this morning. I really miss writing. I don't miss that author, though, that bullied me to the point where I had to leave the community because he was crazy. Would I write more books? I would love to write more books. Absolutely would love to write some more books. I have like a gazillion ideas. But alas, again, my laptop it shit the bed. One of the authors I beta for does it pretty cool. She does 1 beta at a time. See, and my problem is that I am really impatient when I write. So I have to send whatever I finish that day to somebody who's going to read it that day and let me know what they think that day. That's one of the problems. How did I get started? I originally was a blogger, a mom blogger, and I wrote for a bunch of different companies. The last place that I professionally wrote was for Babbel.com, which was owned by Disney at that point in time. Just loved writing. And then I started reading indie romance. It started with 50 Shades of Grey. It started with that for everybody. And then I read that and I was like, this book sucks. Why does everybody love it? Like, what's the grab of it? I didn't understand why everybody was obsessed with it. And I was like, well, if this lady wrote this and could be this popular, I can do it. So that's how I got started. Do I have a podcast? Not yet. How did he bully me? He called my employer because he didn't like me. So he called the place that I worked to try and get me fired. That is why I left the indie community, because I needed my job. I do have to finish the book I've been working on. I'm debating on writing under a new name. The book that I'm currently writing about my family is definitely going to be a different name. I do not have a podcast currently. It is in the works. Was I ever in the R.L. Matthewson group? No, I was not. But if it spawned a bunch of crazies, I'm probably glad that I wasn't a part of it. The only groups that I was really a part of, I was part of the Smuffins and Anna's Attic, Anna's After Dark. Would I write about politics? Absolutely. Actually, the last novella series that I wrote had a sexy hit woman in it that was heavily involved in politics. Good morning. Is my bully still writing or publishing? I don't think so. His books weren't good to begin with. If you go over to Amazon and look up Dylan Cross, Dylan, Dylan Cross, you can see how good his books were. Red, white, and royal blue. No, I have not. I was in for the love of fiction. Every once in a while, the ladies over there would do promotions for my books. I mean, I was in a ton of the groups. I just slowly lost all of them because my Dawn Robertson account got taken down. Because of that bully. Because it wasn't my real name. Was it you? I'm telling you. I know names like on Facebook. Would I ever write for somebody? I don't think that somebody could afford to pay me enough to write for them, if that makes any sense. How's my current book going? Slow, because none of my aunts will talk to me. So I'm just going to have to continue to get the tea from my mom. Yes. Well, he bullied me. So I originally ended up on this guy's radar because of the cover of this book. The lady that I paid to make this cover, he didn't like. And he bullied her over her dead child. So then I hired her to make the cover of Falling Forward, to make my rap. And he didn't like me because I paid her for work, so I became a target. Why won't they talk to me? So they know I'm writing this book, right? And they know that I know shit that I'm not supposed to know. Like the fact that I found a relative that was given up for adoption. And all of them have issues. They all have things that they would rather ignore and pretend like they never did. It's the cycle of mental abuse that my grandmother handed down, is essentially what it boils down to. My grandmother was a misogynist that had 8 daughters. And all of them were fucked up in some way, except for like 2. And they all have shit that they've dealt with. And they're all very 1960s. Like, they're all with the mentality of, we shouldn't talk about things. Or, you know, we shouldn't. So that's exactly what it was. They all want to just close it down and pretend like their upbringing wasn't wrong, or, you know, things like that. And it's a lot of holier than thou type tones. My mom loves telling me all the stories. And as she has been telling me the stories, I've been writing them, you know, the best that I can. But there's one aunt especially that I want to talk to. And I called her and I left her a message. And her daughter wants me to write this book. Her daughter was one of the ones that begged me to start this project because her daughter lives in LA and just so happens to be friends with a shit ton of Netflix producers. And Robin Williams' daughter, Zelda. She's a lesbian. She runs in like all these circles with all these like super successful lesbians. And like, I'm like, hey, how do I get in your circle? Because I want to be in the circle. Needless to say, my cousin was like, write this fucking book and we'll turn it into a screenplay. And I'm over here trying to write this book and nobody's answering my questions. And I don't want to write it and get shit wrong. I want to write it and have everything be as factual as possible. But these bitches just keep getting in my way. They're like, we're not here for it. So I don't know. It's hard because I really need to have like a couple really good conversations, but nobody wants to have the conversation. Nobody wants me poking around. Write the book, I'll watch the movie. I'm already alienated by most of the family because of my political outspokenness. It would be amazing if that book got turned into a movie. But, you know, it's hard because how do you force people to talk about their trauma? You can't. You can't force people to tell you or to relive their own personal trauma. And, you know, I don't got money to give these people. I'm not giving them shit. I'm changing everybody's name too, so nobody can sue me down the road either. Please appeal to their sense of family. There is no sense of family. I live in Florida. I haven't seen them in over 10 years in person. There's zero sense of family anymore. Everybody wants to pretend like there's a sense of family. But since my grandmother died, there's no sense of family. And all of the children of the aunts, right? We've all moved away from our families. Like, all of my cousins that are sane are spread out across the country. One's in California, one's in Colorado, one's in New Mexico, one's in Arizona, one's in North Carolina. I'm here in Florida. We all left because we didn't want our children raised around that crazy. But the problem is, I think, genuinely with this family is they don't want to admit my grandmother was a horrible person, and they want to cling on to the fact that was still their mom. And I get that. But my mom is the only one out of all of the children that ever acknowledged the fact that her mother was a crappy human being. Cross has no books on Amazon. He says he removed them because Amazon's bad to authors, or nobody bought his shit because it was horrible. I want to come to Colorado one day. I have a date with Red Rocks. My grandmother was a narcissist. My grandmother was abusive. My grandmother was, let's just put it this way. There are questions about paternity in our family on multiple occasions. And my grandmother my grandmother wanted to sit on the pedestal and be that perfect person. Like, let's talk about my mom. My mom got pregnant when she was 14. My grandmother took her and drove her across the state to an area that they didn't know the family. And she made my mom marry the boy, and then sent my mother to go live with him and his family. Fast forward 4 years, my mother is 18 years old. She has 2 children now, and she's a single mother because her husband beat the shit out of her. My mom picks up the phone and calls my grandmother for help. My grandmother said to her, "You made your bed. Now you lie in it." And she hung up on my mom, my 18-year-old mother with 2 children, begging her for help because her husband violently beat her ass. These are the stories that these women don't want to acknowledge. And the fact that they won't acknowledge these stories is the root of all the problems in our family. Everybody wants to pretend like she was some kind of saint when she wasn't. She Like, and then my mom didn't talk to her for a decade. Bear with me. The recycling men are out here. So, and my mom ended up going on and being a single mother. She was when did my grandmother pass away? She passed away in January of 2020. So she's been gone. It was just a year. Bear with me for a second. I didn't have much of a relationship with my grandmother. When I was growing up, we would see her maybe once a year. And then when I became an adult, my relationship with my grandma was my grandmother near New York City when she passed. She was in New Haven, Connecticut. I have a bunch of books, but this is kind of about the one that I'm writing. So my mom ended up being taken in by a family. The father. Do I know how old my grandmother was when, I fully believe that my grandmother died of COVID. I do. She was in a nursing home, and I fully believe that's exactly what happened. But nobody in my family wants to acknowledge that that's probably what it was. But she had very toxic relationships with all of her children. Like my uncle, the one boy out of the whole family, she lied about his paternity his whole life. So was she nice to me? So when I grew up and I was an adult, right, and I started having my own children, my grandmother became nicer to me. But anytime I would be on the phone with her, I'd call her, like, hey grandma, what's up? Whatever. My grandmother wouldn't say, how are you, honey? She'd say, how's Bill? First off, my husband's name was Will. And it was never Bill, but my grandpa, my grandmother's second husband, was Grandpa Bill. So she always wanted to acknowledge the man in my life over me, which goes to show the kind of person that she was. And as I got older, I realized it wasn't worth the time, to pick up the phone anymore and call her or acknowledge, anything that was going on. I would mail her a letter once a year with pictures of the kids. And, I would put little notes on the back of each picture. But that was it. And that's how I left it. I think that the older that I got, the more I realized how much of a bad person she was. And the more I learned of things that she had done over the years to my mom, as well as a lot of my aunts, I realized that she really wasn't a person that I wanted to be around. And then I moved to Florida, and I didn't give a flying fuck about what happened to anybody that was in the extended family. I have very good relationships with most of my cousins. My cousin that lives in California is one of my best friends. My cousin that lives in North Carolina just had her first baby. I was going to go up to Asheville, but COVID, I was supposed to be there when that baby was born, but, and we all stay very interconnected, and that's another way that I realize things were really fucked up, because as me and my cousins get older and we talk about the stories and things that happened to us when we were kids in our respective homes, they had it a little bit worse than me, because my mom got away from the family at a young age. But I realized how much things were not okay. Like my cousin that just had her baby, her mom, when she was a kid, would tell her children that she had a twin sister named Mallory. Her name was Valerie and Mallory. And when she would get mad or drunk, Mallory, that was Mallory. That wasn't their mom. That wasn't Valerie. So, from a very young age, there was that level of mental illness in the house for cousins. And so as we all grow up and we all pull away from the families that we were raised in, and as we grow in our own journeys, and I'm talking, I feel for my cousin because she ended up having a drug addiction and things like that because of the cycle. The cycle wasn't broken. So we as parents now are all doing our best to break the cycle and protect our children from that family, our family, which is kind of sad. I really always just wanted one of those picture perfect families where everybody was normal and we did shit together and stuff like that. But unfortunately, that's just not the hand that any of us were dealt. And I will do my best. That's why I had more than one kid, because I wanted my kids to have built-in friends for life, because I knew that their cousins, my siblings' children, probably wouldn't be in their lives for the long term. Like I have a brother. Yeah, I have a biological brother who's just a horrible human being. And he has 2 boys that don't even know my kids exist. His sons are 24 and 22. And they have 3 cousins here in Florida that they don't even know are here. My sister's oldest son is here in Florida with us. Her younger son doesn't know that he has cousins here in Florida because his dad, when my sister died, took him. And he doesn't have any contact with my kids. Is my brother older? Yes, my brother is going to be 52 in May. So, and while I would have loved for my kids to have this big booming family, unfortunately, that's just not the cards that they were dealt. And so I made them their own built-in best friends. Y'all better be friends for life. Y'all better be ride or dies, because that's how I made you. And I know I didn't fuck shit up for you. Worst story y'all are gonna have is mommy was dancing to Rick James, I'm in love with Mary Jane, while cooking dinner. But I don't know. I want to write it. And I don't even know, I want to tell the story, but I don't even know the pretext of writing it. I don't know. It makes my head hurt. With fictional books, I can write whatever the fuck I want. The story comes together in my head. With this project, it's just very different. How do I write it? Do I write it as somebody who wants to reach out to women who have had or been in relatable circumstances? Do I want to, I don't know. It's hard. And I don't want to write a book that's going to sound like I'm doing nothing but trashing my family. But when you are trash, I don't know how to make you sound better. Because I know the truth. I lived it. Based on a true story. That's what I was thinking about doing. Based on a true story. When you figure it out, I'll let you know. if I can just write. I started writing. One morning, I actually ended up reading the foreword of this book that I'm talking about at this point in time. And that's the problem. I'm not here to make them comfortable, but I have very spiteful family members, specifically one aunt. And I feel like she would start shit. I read the foreword of the book here one day. Have I ever read the book Educated? No, shoot that to me in my DMs because I won't remember it. I really do want making the focus of the book about breaking the cycle. Actually, if you guys want to hang loose for a second, I'll go get my laptop and I'll read you the foreword again if you want. I mean, it's up to you. Votes in the comments. Is this a yes or a no? Let me know. Let's see if my laptop will let me open the file. Okay, I'm gonna go get it. Okay, I'll be right back. I promise you, I'll do it quick. Do. There's your hold music. Ooh, excuse me. Okay. If you want to find my books, you can head over to the link tree in my bio. There's a link there for author Dawn Robertson on Amazon. That's me. Those are all my books. Let's see if I can get this baby to turn on. Oh, shit. Oh, well, I don't think I even need to plug it in. I brought the cord for nothing. Let me move back for a second, though, because... Okay. There we go. Let me find the file. It's on here somewhere. Do. Here we go. I found it. Okay, and put some chapstick on, take a drink. Really? I'll have to take a look. I can't get my notifications when I'm on here. Okay. This is the foreword of the book is titled Our Mother's Secrets. Now, by the way, I just want to let you know, I puffed on this quite a few times, so if I fuck anything up, it's the weed, it's not me. Okay. You ready? We're ready. Before I get started on this lengthy tale of family, addiction, misogyny, and insecurity, I will say I had an awesome childhood. I feel as though I turned out normal compared to others who were raised around the same people thanks to a side of antidepressants. And while I may have my own personal traumas, none were associated directly with my family or how I was raised. I'm very lucky to have the mother and father I do, and they excelled at parenting. I didn't want for anything as a child. My whole life I thought my family was normal. Quirky, but completely normal. It wasn't until I was an adult living on my own in the real world that I started to realize there was a lot of shit in our family that definitely was not normal, let alone healthy. We would all have a laugh about the crazy stories of the aunt who almost became the victim of a drive-by shooting, or how another married a millionaire only to lose everything in the wake of his death. We normalized it my whole life. It was all I knew. We'd shrug it off and we'd continue with our lives like these weren't huge cries for help. It wasn't until my own life would crumble at the hands of an addict that it would all become clear none of this was ever okay. It was an absolute shame that we laughed instead of helping each other. I'm trying to read the comments too. Okay. I saw things popping up, so I'm like, what are people saying? I've thought about this project for quite some time, and after chatting with a few of my cousins and friends, frankly, needing to mentally heal from my own traumas, I feel like now is the right time to therapeutically tell this story, which is also the story for millions of women across America and all over the globe. The untreated mental illness or self-loathing women are taught from a young age. We want to be the prettiest or the skinniest or the friendliest with everyone at school. We're taught to mask our feelings as opposed to embracing them and being who we really are. I want better for my daughter as she trudges through the misogynistic land we call America. This isn't a tell-all rag on my family type of story. These are all true stories of how I decided to break the cycle for a healthier future for my own children. Children I said I never wanted when I was growing up. As the baby of my family, I had a much different upbringing than both of my siblings. With a 17 and 15-year age difference and a different biological father, I often felt like an only child, or as my oldest son would call it, a lonely child. My brother was graduating high school when I was born, and I wouldn't be a big part of my life. Wouldn't be a big part of my childhood. It wasn't until that he was clean and sober as a 20-something that we would reconnect briefly until his holier-than-thou, Alcoholics Anonymous, and newfound dedication to the Baptist faith would end that. I was 14. While he patted himself on the back for bettering his life and became judgmental of everyone else around him, y'all know the type, a disagreement with my sister would remove him from our lives for good that time around. In the subsequent years, I tried in vain to reconnect with him, I tried in vain to reconnect with him and my mother to have a relationship with his children, especially when my sister was on her deathbed. But it was all too late, and I'm sure it will end up with its very own chapter, though. My sister was a whole different story, and while we had such a large age gap between us, we were very close. As a baby, I only wanted her when I was sick, and built a bond that would withstand the test of time. I just wish, looking back, that I had more time with her, that I asked more questions about her lives through the years I was too young to remember, and talk about the things I wish I knew now. I lost my sister in late 2011, which helped to shape the person I became in the years following. I wouldn't realize and recognize the actual trauma it caused me until much later time while attempting to heal from another very fucked up situation. Seeing a pattern here? I struck the lottery with my father. I know not everybody can say the same. If I could give my father a gold star in parenting and being a loving father figure, I would. He is the dad everyone wants for their children. Hardworking, loving, dedicated, my mother and I never wanted for anything. Still to this day, he comes along and cleans up the messes I've made as an adult. I remember him working long hours as a longshoreman in New Haven, Connecticut. And when the work would slow down, he was a full-time oysterman in Long Island Sound. The trade-off was having my mother at home with me. It wasn't until an unfortunate accident at work in 1999 would cause him to break his hip and his shoulder that my mother would go back to work outside of the home. Like I said, I had a pretty typical upbringing. No trauma, no abuse, no real big events that would taint me for the rest of my life. At least not on their watch. My watch would be a totally different story. My father was the kind of guy who worshiped the ground my mother walks on, and still to this day, 38 years later, it gave me and still does to this day, 38 years later, It gave me an unrealistic expectation of men when I became interested. Looking back on it now, I should have continued to wait for the 2000s version of Lou to come around into my life, but I think in the long run, I made out okay. If we're being honest here, though, I don't think I would ever met another human being, male or female, that could hold a candle to the type of person my father is. Hold on, I gotta take a break. I need a drink. My dad's, he's a G. My mother, on the other hand, was someone I butted heads with my whole life. Probably because we're both just as stubborn. Okay, hold on. Do I have a North Carolina plate? Not good. Keep reading. Okay, I'm going. She was an amazing example of a strong and independent woman. Not because she wanted to be, but because she had no choice. In a time when abortion was illegal, birth control was a luxury, and teen pregnancy and motherhood was looked down on by all of society, she had no choice but to birth 2 babies before the age of 18 in the late 60s and early 70s. When my grandmother learned she was pregnant with her first child, she drove her across the state to a town where no one knew their family and quickly married her off and sent her to live with the boy and his family. No questions of what my mother would like to do. She was given no choice in the matter, just as many of her other sisters would be forced into, many of which ended up with abusive men and no out. Her husband, I use that word in very loose terms because a teenager more interested in dodging the draft than his own children can't be husband material, was not only abusive, but a serial cheater. Even as a child, I remember him going out of his way to destroy our family holidays with a simple phone call to one of my siblings 20 plus years after the damage he had caused. He'd promise everything under the sun to get my mom on the phone and in a typical abusive narcissist fashion, leave her with tears running down her face and another ruined holiday for our entire family. Something he would do again. Something he would do again when my sister died. In a time when child support wasn't enforced, it made life difficult for my mother. Eventually, she left him and moved out of the home she shared with his entire family with hopes of making it on her own. I don't doubt those years were rough for her. Uno momento, Maggie's having a meltdown. Excuse me. Come on. In you go. Thank you. Okay, where was I? I can't imagine walking a mile in her shoes during that time. While my grandmother turned her back on helping her, my mother was taken in by an amazing big Italian family. They became a second family to my siblings and later to myself. I still to this day consider the Grecos my family. She somehow managed to get by with their help and lots of babysitting from the youngest Greco sibling who came to live with my mother to help, and multiple jobs over the years. The sad part of all of this is I don't think my brother was ever really grateful for all that she did because he willingly continued his relationship with his biological father, which proved to be toxic and continues to be toxic to this day. But hey, toxic birds of a feather flock together. My sister, on the other hand, willingly chose not to be involved with her father when she was old enough to make that choice. Although he made that choice for her as a baby. He didn't want anything to do with them, which eventually led my mother to leaving him. Hold on a second. Sounds like something's in my yard. Just want to make sure it wasn't my dad. The dog was barking. Sometimes he just stops over. Usually he calls first, though. Okay. It wasn't until my sister laid on her deathbed that he decided it was time for him to be a father again. Unfortunately for him, it was far too late. As my sister made eye contact with him in her hospice room, she screamed that he was evil, and we immediately had him removed from the hospital. He tried to come back and parade her about for his family, who also never took the time or interest to be involved in her life, only ending once we had a security involved and a list of people who weren't allowed to visit. Yes, we had to deal with that in her last weeks of life. It was more than I wanted to deal with at that time, and I will always resent that motherfucker in a vicious way. For the various ways he acted like a douchebag in this last month and a half of her life. In a hospice of that size, it took compassion from the staff to get us up into that point. But there was no way I was letting that man do any more damage to her, especially in her last days. She was clear in her wishes to continue to have nothing to do with him, even on her deathbed. As heartbreaking as that sounds, it was the right thing to do, and no one will ever convince me differently. That was my sister's biological father in that passage, and my brother. Through the experiences my mother taught me as a woman, I cannot depend on anybody but myself to make my life what I want it to be. Today, I continue to look within for happiness before looking to another person. I've learned that depending on a man to be a source of happiness is a really bad idea. I listened closely to her stories and the stories of her 7 sisters, of the men that had come and gone and the children that were produced from these relationships. Some still married to those men today, and many tales of abuse and abandonment. Some of those men running off into the night to avoid responsibility that parenthood brings, and some of the women lying to their children about their paternity for their own self-preservation. It was these tales of all these strong women that shaped the way I look at the world today. Then there was the only surviving male, my lone uncle amongst the estrogen ocean. His codependent relationship with his mother would become his downfall. Battling addiction from an early age, breaking both of his legs while hitchhiking on a busy highway, and having to overcome those obstacles and become wildly successful, only to lose everything a second time with the vicious relapse, which is still slowly killing him. These are all stories brought to you by the lack of access for birth control and the judgment of society, while all of these things were happening in their own backyards too. The stories of women desperate to end their pregnancy or birthing children they would later abandon or mentally damage for life. They birthed a generation of addiction and mental illness that we were all determined to overcome in the world today. Or those that made the decision to consciously not have any children. The difference this generation was only possible from their own pain. These trailblazers that fought for our women's rights and access to reproductive health care so we didn't have to live in these same nightmares. The women that continue to remind us of how things have changed and how we can never regress in our progress as women. With our rights under attack daily, I feel the need to tell the stories of these women and how many of us can relate to the struggles they all had on their personal journeys. This is your forward. That's it. That's a wrap. That's the introduction. That's it. That's all she wrote. This is a book series. That was just the introduction too. Just so you guys know, that's what I'm working on. Oh man, now this is the pressure. You guys are gonna give me the pressure. The pressure. I can't even find a fucking designer to make a cover for this right now. I've had such problems trying to get this off the ground. But what now you're gonna sit there and whine because you want to come back out? Come on. This dog. Come on. The rest of the story. I think it's a wild story. I'm telling you, that is a Netflix series. This book is a whole series. Maybe a limited series. Maybe a limited series. I want to read the whole thing. The whole thing's not written yet, but one day it will be. Maybe this will put some fire under my ass. It's just, it's hard to put it. Goddamn, how many times are you gonna sneeze over there? Your cousin works at Netflix. Tell your cousin that we can be cousins too. My sister died from an incurable infection in her brain due to a compromised immune system from HIV. But yeah. What is my, this is actually a back porch. I don't have a front porch. I just have a stone stoop and some stairs. It's nothing to write home about though. But yeah, so, let's pre-order. But I don't even have it as available as a pre-order, because when you put a book up for a pre-order on Amazon, I need to have a cover and I need to have like a date that it's going to be finished. And I don't have that. If I did, I mean, that would be great. But it's a work in progress. I'm hoping, God, you guys really, you guys, VC Andrews, I'll have to, I should use one of my beach pictures. I don't know. I have so many. I like to think I'm an okay writer. Writing is what I love. I love. I'm telling you though, it just, I miss writing so much. There's got to be some, I mean, I can make it. The problem is that I'm very, 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 very fucking picky about my projects. When I put a book together, I need everything to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. And until it's super perfect and super, super perfect, does it have a title? The title of this book is Our Mother's Secrets. That's the title. I should. You guys are giving me really good ideas. No, this book is based on real life. This is my mom's family. They're available in my Etsy store. Etsy. You can get it at chasingoz.store. So far, let me open my file back up here. Let me tell you how much I have. I have like a lot written. Let me see. I have it in my Google Drive. I usually wear a medium or a large depending on, here's my final file. So far it's 26 pages. I'm going to see if it'll let me download the file. This is how I've been writing, is on Google Docs, because my computer is like, I don't want to open this file. The fuck? Come on. Motherfuck. This hoodie that I'm wearing is a medium because I'm like a little person. Does my mom know? Yes. My mom, I read all of this to my mom as I write. So if there's anything that she feels as though I should change, my mom has my mom's like the authority on the book. I can't find the document. Bear with me. Okay, hold on. I think I just did it. Yes. Okay, this is with all the pages. View. I don't know. I'm over here like I'm gonna work. I do make Disney things on my Etsy store. There is tons of Disney stuff on my Etsy store. So far I like Jen Psaki. She's pretty cool. There's tons of Disney stuff. I have Disney masks, Disney notebooks, Disney prints, Disney magnets, Disney, all kinds of stuff. Pictures that I've taken all over the parks. Shh, don't let Disney know. Shh, don't say anything. Because I don't need Disney coming after me. Shh. And I'm gonna sell this shit till they do. What do I, Joe Manchin. We're going to talk about licensing. They're my pictures. I would never profit off Disney. Whatever, I give them enough of my money annually anyways. But yeah. I really hope that you guys did enjoy that this morning. I should use one of my sunrise pictures. ChasingOz.store. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for such amazing feedback this morning. That really, do I have other books? I do. If you go to my bio, on my link tree on my page, and you click on author Dawn Robertson, you feel free to check out all my books there. What are my pronouns? I am her, she. That is how I identify. But yeah, thank you guys so much for, I could definitely, if I do an audio book for this book, I will probably read this one myself. Of my current books, there are no hardcovers or signed copies available at this moment in time. For this book that I'm writing, I'm sure that there will be. I feel like you guys just lit some fire under my ass for a little bit. Because I feel really jazzed in, working on it. I have to do more writing. I have to get a cover designer going. The problem is that The Huntress. Ooh, that's a good one. I wrote that with Kristen Hope Mazzola. Those are really fun books. Those are like psychological political thrillers with sex. Those are good. But I think that my problem with this book is that I want it to be perfect. I want this book to be a bestseller. I want this book to fly. I want it to become one of those must reads for the summer or whatever. So I'm my own worst critic. I just want everything. I'm going to beat myself up. I want it to be perfect. I want the book. I want the story. I just want it to be. And I know it's a whole lot of I want. It sounds very selfish, but with it being so personal, I just need it to be, I don't know. It's very real and it's very raw. I don't know. And if I take this jump, right? Because I know that there are going to be people that fuck with me because of publishing this. I just want to make sure it's worth it. I don't know. Y'all get me every day, and I'm here with throwing y'all some of my deepest, darkest thoughts in my head, all willy-nilly. Oh, we got coffee and weed? Sure, girl. This is exactly my deepest fears about publishing this book or another book in general. I don't even know what name I would write under. Do I write under my real name? Do I create another pseudonym? What do I do? There are so many questions. Oh, I can never switch to Starbucks. I'm a Dunkin' girl through and through. I am a New England Dunkin' girl. It's I don't know. I built a really amazing community here on TikTok, and I feel as though a lot of people would read what Dorothy. Maybe. A friend of mine wrote a book one time, and it became this big controversy. And she wrote as author anonymous. Did anybody ever read the author anonymous book? Anybody out there? Just plain Dorothy. No last name. Maybe. That's my problem. I'm such a perfectionist. You should see the chaos that, can't you just call yourself Chasing Oz? I'm sure I could. My middle name's Anne. It's very basic. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna do it. 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 I feel bad, like, when I'm not on TikTok for the day. I always try and, like, leave a note on my page, like, I'm sorry I'm not here right now. I'm out flying my drone or carting my kids to doctor's appointments. What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm writing a book. Another book. I'm going to write another book. Why are the owls out during the day? You guys hear them? That owl was like, oh, these guys are my BFFs. They live in my trees, but usually they're not out during the day. It's the energy. They're here. Oh, it's getting warm out here. I'm gonna write another book. Are they being chased? I don't think so. I'm gonna use that would be the best book cover ever. My mixtape album cover. They know. The owls know. That's my sign. That's my sign, guys. I know the owls are the omen of death. We're talking about my dead grandma and all the fucking chaos that she caused in the lives of all the women that she raised. The owls are like, we're delivering your book Harry Potter style. Out of my books that I've published so far, Falling Forward is hands down my favorite. Let me see. It's right here. So it looked like Ariel. Thank you. Your grandmother, we might have the same grandmother. I think that people have a lot of different misinterpretations